I am in complete awe standing in front of each and every one of you today. I shared with Dunn last night. I remember praying. My pastor told me when I was meeting that God was going to take me many places and that I'd be around people who didn't walk like me, didn't talk like me, and most certainly and obviously did not look like me. And when I began to share my vision with others, they tried to discourage me. When I joined the Republican Party at 16 years old, I believed in the principles of Ronald Reagan. I believed in self-governing. I believe in physical responsibility. The party of Thad Cochran is not the Republican Party I joined. As a black American, I am insulted by my intelligence that he would lie, cheat, and steal and exploit Americans to keep his power. Leaders use hope. Tyrants use fear. As I stand here today, I am worried because so many people are blind. So many people have told me that I need to throw in the towel. Well, I'm here to tell you something. I will not support corruption. No. I will not support corruption. So let the word go from this time in this place. Tate Reeves, Stacey Pickering, Phil Bryant, you have choices to make. I give you two choices. We, the Tea Party, are not diplomats. We are prophets. And our message is not compromise. Our message is an ultimatum. Stand for liberty or stand aside.
That's right.
I remember talking to my boss, who he's a Democrat, God bless his soul. God bless his heart. Now, y'all know in the South, when we say God bless someone's heart, that's not really religious. It's just a way of saying this poor old fool that don't know any better. They probably were not reared. Amen. I won't go there. That's a different sermon for a different day. I remember my boss telling me one day, this is long before the primary, that there was no way that Chris McDaniel could beat Thad Cochran. And I looked him in his face and I said, you know something? 15 years ago, you would have been right. I said, but I stand with people of courage. And we don't give in when you say boo. We pull out our gun and we start fighting. I have news for every person who stood by and watched corruption. Your day of reckoning is coming. And it's either coming by the ballot box or the hands of God. Now, if I were you, I prefer the ballot box. I'm just saying. To all those so-called preachers who sold their congregation a lie, you have God to answer to.
That's right.
And don't you ever
That's
forget.
right. That's right. That's right.
I remember talking to one pastor who I think may have been involved in this, and I told him, I said, I hope you still fear God more than you fear Thad Cochran. I said, because Thad Cochran's going to get his justice, and so will you. Except it won't be by the courts of man. It'll be done at the courts of God. And I have news for you. On that day, he's not going to be too merciful. As I stand before you today, I'm reminded of the words of Thomas Paine, that these are the times that try men's souls. With the sunshine soldier and the summer patriot will shrink from the service of his country, but he who stands it now deserves the love and thanks of every man and woman. And we have this consolation with us, that tyranny like hell is not easily conquered, but we also have this, that the more hard of the battle, the more glorious the triumph.
Yeah.
And as I stand today, you know, I was called many things. Some things I can repeat, some I cannot. I was called Uncle Tom. I was called a house slave, although that was not the word, as you can imagine. And I was brought to anger and rage, and oftentimes to despair, and sometimes even to tears. And I remember the words of Joshua chapter 1. When Joshua mourned Moses, God came to him and said, "Son, stop your mourning. It's time to lead your people." Patriots, Christians, conservatives, Tea Partiers, it is time for us to stop our mourning. And it is time for us to stand up and lead our people.
Yeah.
Whether or not that means standing by yourself, that is for you to determine. But I remember something else, and I'm getting to the close here, done. Although I can keep going if I need to. I remember when Thad Cochran was called the gentleman. I still laugh every time because saying those words in the same sentence demands my laughter in a way. And I'm going to get a little personal with you for a moment, not that I haven't been. But a couple of days ago, in that building over there, we saw the funeral of a true statesman and a true gentleman. A man who stood by his God, his family, and his country. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sad to say he didn't endure that fight. And it breaks my heart to know he didn't. But I can't help but think that he smiles from the pearly gates of heaven, and he sees us now leading the fight, not just to clear his name, but to clear the corruption. Thad Cochran, I'm here to tell you something, if you're listening, but you're not. To all of Thad Cochran's lackeys, staffers, and wannabes, you are not gentlemen. Gentlemen do not go to other gentlemen's press conferences and call them liars. Gentlemen do not go after other gentlemen's names and their families with an ungodly vengeance because they want to preserve power. Real gentlemen discuss solutions. Real gentlemen stand up for God and for liberty. And if you can't do that, you are not a true gentleman as far as I'm concerned. Familiar with the name I'm about to say. Most people aren't, but there was a German pastor by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer who lived in the times of Nazi Germany. He was trained at seminars with African Americans, so he understood what oppression looked like. And he had a choice to make. Do I sit behind my pulpit and preach as though unconceivable evil takes place? Or do I stand up? And Dietrich Bonhoeffer was asked before he passed, because he was hanging for an attempt on Hitler's life. He said, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak up because I was not a communist. And then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Catholic. And then they came for the socialists and the unionists, and I didn't speak up because I was neither. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak on my behalf. But I have a feeling that if Dietrich Bonhoeffer was alive today in this world, it would sound like something like, first they came for the Christians, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't one. And then they came for the business owners, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't one. And then they came for the patriots, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't one of them. And then they came for the gun owners, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a gun owner. And then they came for me. But as I stand today, ladies and gentlemen, and as breath goes through my body and blood flows in my veins, I am determined to speak up, even if no one else will stand with me. You know, race baiting is something that hits kind of home for all the obvious reasons. And I remember when they said, you'll lose your food stamps and you lose your funding for school. And I was thinking, this is the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my human life. Outside, of course, listening to Nancy Pelosi speak. But I can tell you one thing. You can call the Tea Party patriots racist, but they will rather stand and bleed and fight with Allen West and Benjamin Carson and C.L. Bryant and Jeremiah Boddy and Doreen Babelli and Mia Love. Why? Because we believe in liberty. And liberty knows no color. It knows no age. Liberty is for all people of all colors.